Attention gamers. Riot Games has no shortage of problems when it comes to League of Legends, but most of them can be fixed. For example, they can do things like ban the scuzz monkey immature cock goblin degenerates ruining everyone else's experience because they didn't get enough attention as a kid. They can stop prioritizing boring ass pro play and focus on their main player base of silver hard stuck solo queue playing Prozac taking depressed rage virgins instead. They can fix their main subreddit being moderated by power hungry mall cop academy dropouts, or even consider not removing game modes that everyone loves. If all else fails, they can fire Riot Freak, but my point is, all the problems this company faces are also problems that can be fixed. Except for one. Notoriously the most hated champ from the time this rift birthed her, as her presence and how it affects the game have single-handedly ruined millions of games and made even more players angrier than a pissed-on chicken. In a desperate attempt to unfuck themselves after adding her to the game, she's been nerfed so many consecutive times you'd think she was starring in a Dude Perfect video, to the point where even her own player base hates playing her.
I hate this champion now, man. She's so bad.
And what Riot doesn't realize is that making her weaker will never fix the problem, because her literal design will always just amplify whatever the most broken bullshit is on the rift. If a specific champ is too strong, Yuumi makes it worse. If an item is stupid and makes you go invincible on kills, having her inherit any mechanic of her host like a little parasite results in situations like 1 stealth, 2 stealth, Twitch stealth, Yuumi stealth. In a game that revolves around the rich getting richer, the fed getting fedder, and the snowball design already making it depressing to try and come back when you're behind, it will always be even worse because she can just tether onto whoever is fed and already annoying to deal with, making it that much worse, which means the only way to actually solve this problem is to literally remove Yuumi from the game. And today I'm going to prove with clips from 2 different games how no matter how many times this champ gets nerfed, she will always ruin the majority of games she's in. So please do me a favor and abuse my subscribe button until it turns blue as a way of casting your vote to remove her from the rift, and let's get into the games. Now I should mention I was not the one playing Yuumi in these games, but rather getting funneled by her, because I feel like if you wanted to see the half AFK POV, there's probably an e-girl out there dressed like a cat with her tits half out that would be more enjoyable to watch, but for the sake of completeness I want to speed run through the early game where I took a trip up north at a rather inopportune time for the enemy man bear pig. And then a few minutes later I had an awkward run-in with the Trend Twins pet cat, which forced me to suppress my gag reflex and actually work with a wind shitter, but it worked out when all I did was run away and let him deal with all the idiots who were too distracted looking at my low health ass to realize they were being spanked. So then 12 minutes into the game the adoption paperwork for this kitty officially clears and the two of us become inseparable for the rest of the game. I figure first order of business will be to swing by bot and let her previous owner know that she's a weak bitch who couldn't take care of this tabby's needs, to which she responds by rotating slower than a square wheel. But the game is now on easy mode for me, so I leave the uncoordinated gank with almost as much health as I started it. Then Dragon is on the menu, so everyone is lined up getting pissed off at each other like bot. Side River is the local DMV as I enter, letting the world know that my team's cat will be more annoying to deal with before deciding to waste my flash for a more optimal knapsack whack on Legolas. You can't spell ass without Cassidon or something, so he does some super mobility bullshit to get away as I head down to tax the wave of my pocket-sized tiger's previous owner before taking an uncontested tower. Rengar tries to apply his own pressure up top, but I bowl a perfect strike before playing a quick game of I don't need to see you to shit in your sleepy ass mouth, which ends in quite the tight battle. Then, because I am now fed and my own fedness is amplified by typical unfixable Yuumi bullshit, I am living rent free in this idiot's jungle, knowing he can't even contest his own farts around me at this point. But despite us beating up on them so bad you'd think they were that all-female LCS team scrimming in this Goldie low game, my top died once and I started fearing that a famous illogical mental boom was pending. He was dead, so I was a tad worried during our dragon when Rengar turned the lights out, so I backed off, got my popcorn out and made sure I didn't blink or I would have missed our Sivir getting killed. Then I have to admit I got a bit loosey-goosey with my movement when it came time to wrap up the Rengar party, but I was just that comfortable that he posed zero threat to me with this Yuumi tethered to my tits that I could play a bit sloppy. So at this point my own record is starting to look like Jake Paul's boxing record against non-boxers as I cosmic bowl straight into the dildo corn only to get rooted by a mysterious source. Before chasing only to get seat belted again, but limit testing with a Yuumi on you is really just called collecting cash deposits from weak people who don't own cats themselves, as I style up a 7-10 split and then fetty wap the bitch for my gold. Their team's Blink 182 Tentacles is top and more out of position than a stripper in a calculus class, so I come in only to realize that this is going to be quite the fun experience. Olaf can't resist intermittently flaming the person hard carrying his ass, as boy oh boy is there more to come with that fetal alcohol syndrome survivor later as we finally catch the calamari and claim our cash. The enemy's banana distribution goat is trying to destroy a creeper camp that I so elegantly planted, which is just rude to be honest, so she has to be punished, but things get a bit shaky as I'm in the midst of her execution, and if it wasn't for me having a pet cat that shouldn't be in this game I would have died 10 out of 10 times there. I get Baron while Olaf is flaming Sivir. I kill Man Bear Pig while he is busy keyboard warrioring our team. The game is still more one-sided than A who weighs closer to 260 contest against Bradley Martin, but luckily their top may be many things with the ability to change between them, but intelligent is not one. This causes the Healy whore to put it in reverse, but my mind is made up as I chase to put her back in base only to have to babysit a kitty cat play date which ends in the bigger one getting fucked. And I'm telling you, this Olaf was just having a case of the Mondays, like he got fired from his job at Taco Bell today and his aspirations of one day working the line at Chipotle were shattered because of it, as he gets so triggered in a game that was essentially a blowout win in our favor that he AFKs in base. I'm still confident that we can win the 4v5, but there are logistical problems with that theory when our win shitter was returning to his family routes of constantly being more outnumbered than a young Lana Rhodes on a casting couch, and the only other teammate we had was not exactly in a position to contribute, so this actually quickly turned into a 5v2 with Olaf oh so elegantly commentating an example of how one failed abortion can ruin a game for everyone else, and we did lose, but this behavior falls into the category of problems Riot can still fix. The second game provides a much better example of the problem they can't fix, as I decided the broken bullshit that comes baked into a new champs kit would serve as a good host for her zoomies. I literally had never played this champ before this game, just to set the stage for how completely brain-dead easy this is to pop off, and at 8 minutes things weren't going well as I was basically a free kill for any enemy until the bond was made and now the chaos was queued up to come out. Seraphine was all like, oh I love the show Cat Dog as a child, and I was just like, why don't you tweet about it bitch, hashtag Team Sona, before walking by Vagar all like, I won't say anything if you don't. But in reality I was just waiting for my cooldowns to be up so that I could use the ult, at which point I had no clue what it did, but I figured if I baited out the cuck cage I could then just bash my wrinkly weenus into my keyboard and benefit from playing Riot's newest champ with the unfixable buffs that they get from having a Yuumi perma-deep-throating them all game. I had spent so much time bot that my mid-lane opponent had 2 levels on me, which may concern some, but age is just a number and Cat Dog gives zero fucks in situations like this. She was obviously slightly embarrassed that a simping support had to come defend her tower, and by defend I mean float around until she becomes deceased in the same area as the tower. And when I said Yuumi's problem isn't in her win rate or even how strong she is, but rather how utterly unfun she makes the game for everyone else, just look at this Kai'Sa's reaction when I came back to lane with her tethered to me again. At this point Yuumi was just another addition to the murderous petting zoo that I had following me at all times. I was now fed, ahead playing house pets that shed and shred, and every time I saw Ariana Grande I knew the kill would be more free than those lollipops they give out at pediatrician offices. Kai'Sa was mad because I was bad, but she was just making my point, to which I was glad. In team fights, Naafiri gives a whole new meaning to the phrase just W key at the enemy, as I am sure Seraphine was googling if any counterplay exists to what she was experiencing, but dead whores aside I was in the mood to test the limits of this bullshit up to the point where even the kitty on my titty was having doubts.
No, you're gonna die.
Damn,
okay,
I'm gonna
never
die?
mind.
Their team is now staying grouped more than a bunch of turds in a toilet bowl, so I had to meticulously time when I'm gonna hop a wall and push my win fight button that would have still dashed to her even if she didn't fail her flash. Then, without having to worry about some bitch that I can't even block on Twitter anymore whipping sound waves at me, I could come in and prep a nasty kill, starting with this Vega.
Oh my god.
Starting with this Kai'Sa. Jesus Christ, Zanyas can suck a dick. They are starting to get desperate, so it makes sense to find them attempting to circle jerk Barney's dick, so I figure if I tell Gosu to run in saying he has Brecky Hill nudes, that'll distract at least half of them and I can one-shot Dumbledore's left nut to stop the Baron attempt. Anyways, I'm so fed I'm considering AF King to hit the store and buy some Tums, but I do want to acknowledge whoever decided that Nafiri's W range should be set to this, should be fired immediately and maybe even exiled from the planet. At this point I'm just hopping into bad decisions more than a sad drunk bitch at a tattoo parlor, but Kaisa is getting killed before I sit through the eons of CC abusing the dumb fact that I can play this 6 times worse than I could on any other champ without a Yuumi as I peel back and start quietly humming to myself. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes, except I am she. This Seraphine is dead as fuck and there is no way anyone on the enemy team is having fun right now. Their team is still more bunched up than a vine of grapes, and I'm not trying to show a death in this video, so instead I see if I can get creative and screw the Seraphine from an angle she hasn't been screwed from before. I got Elder Drake, which means I'll be able to kill Thier Vagar faster than he can say fuck I forgot to Zanya's, and with that performance being my literal first time playing Nafiri, I think this proves that the only way to fix the Yuumi problem is to remove her from the game. Rav out.